Okay, welcome back to members of 121 Community Church in Grapevine, Texas. Our ongoing study in The Problem of God by Edgar Sheffield Brightman, published in 1930. We've concluded all of our lessons, and so now we're going to take a look at a composite phenomenology for the entire work. And it will be the framework we're already familiar with. It's going to be the phenomenology chart that has observation on the bottom, notion of the true on the top, subjective on the left, and objective on the right. So the very bottom, we start with the observation in empirical existence. And in the center of the chart is that Dekunta threshold, which is the area of engaging in dialogue with others to ascertain what the true notions are, notions of the true, what they are. But we'll begin by taking a look at block 1. We're going to take a look at the phenomenological starting point. Brightman says our God idea measures our valuation of life. We seek to define God as the source of goodness, beauty, and truth, and we must consider the notions of practical doubt, ethical behavior, and practical sovereignty when seeking to define and develop our doctrine of God. And we must pass through negation in block 2. Mechanistic materialism must be negated. Emergent novelty must be affirmed. There is presence of transcendence, says Brightman. Emergent novelty must be affirmed. The view of matter must be one of activity and not substance, and humanism, secular humanism, must be negated as well. And then we're going to begin the actual steps of his phenomenology. And I've actually got large, bold, 17-point letters for the labeled moments of his phenomenology. And you'll notice beginning with block 3, we've got discrimination, and then you go up to 4, selection, and then 5 at the top left, judgment, and then 6 is positing, and then 7 is dialectic, and then religion. He gives us the steps of his phenomenology in this particular manuscript. So we know ahead of time that we're going to be passing through discrimination, selection, judgment, positing, dialectic, and then interpretive construction to construct our notion of religion and our doctrine of God. So in block 3, we take a look at empirical discrimination. We begin the work of defining God idea as a working hypothesis. We examine the infinite whole of the truth, and we examine possibilities of experience to determine those occasions of the emergence of value. We seek to form a holistic account of experience, and our exploration must pass through the following 4 moments: discrimination of possibilities, selection of IDAS ideals, judgment of systematic ordering, and positing and praxis. So from there, we want to move up to the middle of the chart and take a look at block 4, which is Aristotle's Dekunta threshold, or that area where we engage in dialogue with others. And this is the moment of selection. Our dialogue is critiqued by the notion of God as the God of moral laws. We seek to raise up suppositions from discrimination to true ideals. We seek to acquire a lexicon of first principles. From here we move on to forming the unitary spirit of God, or systemization. So once we acquire the IDAS ideals, we need to arrange them in an order, a holistic order. So in block 5, we move to the moment of judgment. We systematize the IDAS ideals into a system that reflects the Trinitarian struggle for salvation, a model of the eternal principles that will imprint the temporal. And the systematizing leads to the next stage of positing in order to verify our theoretical model. So we construct the theoretical sign model, and now we're going to move on to positing that sign model in block 6, which is the moment of positing. The real for Brightman is the realm of positing. We take the expansion of abstract notions and form a contraction of practical concepts. Remember, we had that discussion of expansion and contraction. So we take the expansion of the abstract notions and form a contraction of practical concepts. We posit our phronesis, which is practical wisdom. We form a practical wisdom of the realization of value. We make our abstract model concrete, because now we move into the area of actually working out our dialectic in block 7, the moment of dialectic. We take up outgoing desire and anticipate the reliability of spirit in the midst of opposition. This is the realm of the personalistic law. The emergence of novelty represents those tendencies in experience that ask for participation. They become nodal entrance points. This is our practical quest for meaning, for the meaning in the realm of spirit. So, we're into that, right in the midst of the logic of faith for Brightman right now, which is experimental positing, outgoing desire, and interpretive construction. So we posited a real practical model. We've looked at outgoing desire, and now if you look at block 8, we'll look at interpretive construction, which is when we construct the truth of religious experience. We transition to the oughtness of the practical. Truth is discerned in the midst of praxis. We find data for further rational construction of our ideal model of the kingdom, and existence acquires its rational ordering in ever-increasing degrees. So we do learn by doing. We learn through ministry. We have an epistemological growth through practical ministry. Missiology and epistemology are linked. The two are linked together. But there's always a return moment of reflexivity for Brightman. If you look at block 9, new notions of God as personal, ethical, and rational emerge. They become internalized to revise our state of mind in order to take up again the entire process of the dialectic, but with greater maturity, with a revised ideal sign model of the kingdom. It's an ongoing dialectic, but it does include this return moment and this return internalization to revise our ideal sign model. And that kind of matures our state of mind. If you follow the arrows, you can take it over to the block 11 on the far left, and that state of mind feeds the dialectic again. Brightman's system is dynamic and organic and living. It is not static. The dialectic is ongoing. But basically, if you begin with block 3, at the beginning of the book, he gives us, or it's really not the beginning, actually around page 100, after he's given us a lot of the foundational information, around page 100 he tells us, here are the steps of my positive content. And it's discrimination, selection, judgment, positing, dialectic, and religion. If you can just memorize those, you have a description of the moments of a phenomenology, an organized phenomenology. Discrimination, selection, judgment, positing, dialectic, and religion. And it's, to be specific, it is empirical discrimination. It begins with the empirical. Empirical discrimination, rational selection, rational judgment, and then religion, religious positing, religious dialectic, and religious articulation of the content of religion. So it goes from the empirical to the rational to the religious. Those three categories abbreviate all of these moments. But it gives us, let's see, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. There's 6 moments within his very systematic phenomenology. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. He had discrimination, selection, judgment, positing, dialectic, and religion. 6 moments abbreviated under the 3 categories of the empirical, the rational, and the religious. The empirical, the rational, and the religious. Abbreviate the 6 conceptual moments. So you get 3 categorical areas that abbreviate 6 conceptual moments. But this book, way back in 1930, gave the readers a specific, articulated, fully defined structure for phenomenology, better than Hegel ever did. I mean, Brightman is very strong on definition, which I think is fantastic. I think he surpasses Hegel in that regard. He's very loyal to always giving precise definitions of his lexical content in every manuscript. But it's been good to go from the later work that we've already covered and now to come back to the first work to see how he arrived at a birth of ideas. We see the birth of phenomenology in Brightman here in 1930 with the categorical areas of the empirical, the rational, and the religious that abbreviate discrimination, selection, judgment, positing, dialectic, and religion. And so it gives us a great composite, but it actually gives us a composite that we can keep in our long-term memory and use it anytime we examine anybody who's taking up a phenomenology, because this framework is kind of a universal framework that would apply as a grid that we could use for future studies. So in a way, Brightman clarifies Hegel for us here. We've got a better, I think, a more clear, more precise definition of the moments of a true phenomenology, That's going to wrap up this composite view, the full 193 pages of The Problem of God, published by Edgar Sheffield Brightman in 1930.